What's going on, guys? Leafy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got for you another NHL Just Chatting video. So this one, yes, it is still just chatting. It's just me talking to the chat. But we were talking about the menus actually in the game, and not so much necessarily about like the specific design ideas that we want from it. Obviously, everybody wants, less loading screens. There's just so many loading screens in NHL right now. Every time you want to load into and basically every time you want to do anything, you have to load a new screen, and we all want that old kind of folder system that we used to have on the old gen games, where you would make all your selections first, and then it would load you into that final screen where you would get where you wanted to go. And right now, the menus are clunky. They're just not really fun to navigate. They're not really intuitive, and so it's always a hot topic. But in this one, we were actually talking about the importance of just changing the look of them. Kind of just why is it so important to make sure that every time you make a new game, you have a fresh look on there. And I kind of discussed a little bit of like psychology behind that, of why it's so important, because I think that it is really, really important to give that little bit of makeover to your game every single year. But I hope you guys enjoy this one. If you do, hit the like button. It helps me out a great deal. Subscribe if you want to see more content of mine. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Want your face as a ref? Yeah, that would be pretty good. Because the ref face has been the same for like 20 years. And it hasn't changed at all. Nobody would even notice. They would be like... Oh man, people like legit wouldn't even notice. They would just change the ref face, and all of a sudden it's Keanu. He ate the ref. Oh man, it's so funny. Change the ref face and people will feel like it's a new game. You know what? Like if they change the ref face, there's not an insignificant number of people in the community that would be like, holy shit, they changed the ref face this year? Man, they're really putting an effort in those details this year. Yeah, and with the cameraman and all those people, you literally just put a different face on it. Like, they have all these generic faces, just change it to a different one, and people would be like, man, they're really putting in the work on the details this year. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. I never even thought about that. That's so funny. That would be hilarious. I honestly, like, if they ever do that, there's gonna be like a Reddit thread, and it's literally with that exact reaction. It would be so hilarious. Literally, just like, they changed the ref face this year. Yeah, it really is such a low effort thing that would just change, like, just the smallest detail, and then every time, like, all these people that play this game for hundreds of hours, and like some of those little details, like, you don't even mentally process anymore because it's always there. Like, how it's kind of like that idea of how like you stop feeling your clothes after a while because you know that they're there, so you don't feel like the touch of your clothes unless you think about it. I mean, now you're feeling them because I'm talking about it, right? But it's the same idea, right? The ref is always the same. He's always there in the same spot with the same camera angles and everything. You never notice it. And then all of a sudden, they change one little thing, like the tiniest detail, like his face, or like the camera angle that they zoom in on him, and all of a sudden people would be like, wait, what was that? Where did that come from? I haven't seen that in that's not the same thing that I've seen for 20 years. Like, the camera angle is 100%. As soon as there's a new camera angle, people will notice. Like, the second that there's a new camera angle, like, it's not only the face, right? They have like that exact picture where they zoom in and it's like slightly tilted this way, and it's like his face is right in the middle. I can see it. Like, I'm not looking at the game, but I like the mental image is like crystal clear in my head. They changed that angle just slightly and people would be like, the heck is this? The online experience that it's just the same angle makes it feel repetitive. The ref is burnt into your retina, yeah. Just because you've seen it so many times. Every time you get a tripping call, it's just the same guy, and it's just doing the exact same thing, same camera angle, everything. Like, I'm not even talking about, like, the angle that you play the game at. I'm just talking about those little cuts afterwards. It's every time they add in a new angle with those, like, the cuts afterwards, like, the replays and stuff, I'll be like, I don't watch replays, but when they do come up, or when, you know, you have to watch them because the other person doesn't press the A button or whatever, like, you notice it. You're like, oh, I haven't seen that before. Starting to think the ref changes can solve everything. There are a lot of things like that that make people happy. Like, I think when, like I said, when you ask people for feedback, you expect the core things to be mentioned, right? Whether it's gameplay or things about the modes, like the, you know, the general things that people interface with regularly with the game. That's what you expect them to talk about. There are a lot of people just who play video games that care about like the tiniest little things. It's actually incredible. Like, they really do care about the, you know what's funny is so last year when I did my feedback gathering thing with the Google form, if you're not familiar, last year I set up a Google form just basically asking like the same questions that I asked people on Twitter. You know, what do you like about the game? What do you dislike about the game? What would you like to see add or changed about NHL in the future? I think that was it. That was the whole form. And like people could type as much as they wanted. And it got like 600 something responses from Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, LG, NHL Gamer, Reddit, EA Forums, and Operation Sports were, I think, all of the platforms that it was posted on and I got responses from. Operation Sports, I didn't know that it was an active community. Like, I'm familiar with the website, but I have never used it before. So it wasn't something that I posted on there originally. And then I got a response on the form that said, like, I had a box, like a checkbox that was like, where did you hear about this? And people could select any of those options, or they could type other, and then like some people were like from a friend or whatever. And somebody wrote Operation Sports, and I was like, that's weird. I didn't post it on there. So I went to their forum, and I looked, I went to their like NHL section of their forum, and I saw somebody posted the form on there and was like, hey, you guys should fill this out and ask for better player likeness. And I was like, what? And I was like, what? So I read through the comments, and then I was like, and then I made an account on there, and I typed it out, and I'm like, hey, like, this is me. I made this. Thank you guys for posting this. I apologize that I didn't, you know, put it on here first. I'm not familiar with the website. Like, I'd never used it before, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up getting, like, a good amount of responses from that community, which I guess is fairly active, and I think they, like, are mostly offline players. And they all asked for better player likeness. Like, pretty much every single one of them. They wanted better player likeness. They wanted the player models to look better. They want them to look more like players. And that's it. That's what they want. And it's just one of those things that really blows my mind. That, like, there's, you know, this form it was the most vague questions that you could possibly ask anybody, right? Like, that was the goal, because I didn't want to direct any, like, I didn't want to direct the conversation at all, like, necessarily. I just wanted people to talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. I didn't want to encourage anybody to say, like, one thing. Like, I didn't want to be like, what do you feel about the skating? And then people start, like, thinking about the skating, and they're like, what do I think about the skating? I'm not sure. How do I didn't want that. And then, you know, he's talking about the shooting, and then people are like, oh yeah, I hate the shooting in this game. Frick the shooting. And I didn't want any of that. I just wanted them to say what they thought. What's the things that first come to mind? So people could say, and there was unlimited characters, so people could say whatever they wanted about the game. And an entire community on a website decided that they were going to fill out this form, and just all they wanted was to talk about player likeness. And that's it. And that's crazy to me. Interviewed Dean Richards, the producer at the time, about NHL 16, and he was like, players wear helmets, nobody cares what they look like. Totally not direct quote, but he didn't feel it was important. That's what I'm saying. Right? This is exactly what I'm talking about, is that there, like, you don't expect it, but there are so many people out there that care about the smallest little things. You know where you find those people? The EA forums, okay? They have... You want to talk, like, I don't want to talk crap on, like, any community, specifically, because there's, you know, there's crazy people in every community, and I don't even want to call them crazy necessarily, but, like, it does feel a little bit crazy, some of the things that these people care about. Like, it just is like, who the heck even thinks of this, right? But you go to the EA forums, I'm pretty sure they have, like, a year-long, like, feedback thing, like, thread, where it's just, like, pages, and you can just read what people have to say about the game. I haven't been on the EA forums in a year, since whenever the last time I went to through this feedback thing. I probably will make another trip sometime soon. But man, like, some of the things that I read from people that came from the EA forums, it's just the tiniest details that they are just so furious about. And it almost, like, I always talk about, like, people wanting, like, there's a natural desire for people to be mad. People just want to be mad about everything all the time. I truly believe that. It's why Twitter and everything, like, social media is so toxic, is people just want to be mad and be mad at other people. And I don't know why. But, like, that takes this idea and kicks it up to, like, 1,000. Because they're just complaining, like, just so furiously, so passionately about the smallest details of the game. And it's like, man, this person, like, EA could do the smallest thing. Like, it could be, like, changing a color on a screen, and this person would be over the moon. And instead, they're just in a blinding rage about it. You want new loading screens? You nuts? No, I mean, I want new menus, so I think it's all, like, kind of hand in hand, right? If they give us new menus and the loading screens were exactly the same, I would actually kind of be pissed. But it wouldn't be such a big deal. I also just, what if we just didn't have loading screens instead? And we just had a better menu system that didn't require us to load screens every time you make a new selection. Oh yeah, no, menus are actually like a huge thing for a game feeling fresh, because it's the first thing you see when you load up the game. It's your very first impression. And so there's actually, like, some real, like, psychological stuff going on with that. Like, I'm not kidding. This is real. It's that like, first impression, that first thing you see is really important. And you know what? I bought a new Xbox, okay? I have the new Xbox Series X, okay? I had an original Xbox One from 2013. That's what I had for the last 7 years. And so when the new Xbox came out, I was like, you know what? I still use it. I'll get a new one finally. It's been 7 years. So I bought a new Xbox Series X. I load it up. I turn it on. I set it up. And the first thing I notice the UI is exactly the same. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. I don't even feel like I'm using something new. It looks exactly the same as what I was just using on this 7-year-old machine. I feel like I kind of felt scammed, that I was like, I just spent $550 on this new Xbox, and then I load it up, and it looks exactly the same on the screen as the one that I was just using, that I've been using for 7 years. And game menus are exactly the same. You fire up NHL. Yeah, they actually did update all the UI right before launch so that it was fresh for when launch was. But it's actually, I think it's actually worse that they did that. I think they should have done it like the day of or something, so that like when you load it up on your new console, then it's like you get a new something, or just like something different, like something a little bit different, just so that you kind of get like a new feel for it. That way, if you were just on your previous Xbox and you load up a new one, you just have like some sort of like, ooh, this is new, like this is different, and you get excited about it because it's just a little bit different. But it's the same thing with games. It's exactly the same with NHL. You're on NHL 21. You're 20 or whatever, like the year before, and you're looking and you're playing it. New game comes out, you load it up, and it's the same menus, and you're like, man, like this shit again? It's exactly the same thing. And it's I mean, like, menus are not a small thing. Like, I will be the first to admit, because like, there's a lot that goes into not even like just I mean, maybe the cosmetic part of it, like just the look of it is smaller. Like, maybe that's not such a big task for them to change, is like just like the look of it. But like the actual functionality of it is definitely not a small thing for them to do. Like, it's more of a big project. And like, as far as asking people, or as far as what people ask for when it comes to like loading screens, like I'm pretty sure they have to like reroute like the entire menu system in order to change it from like going screen to screen to like that folder system that people want, where like you make all your selections in one screen and then you load like the final one to actually get to where you want to go. That's like a big thing, right? So it's not, I'm not trying to say that it's small, but just like the physical like look of the menus, like even if they didn't change the functionality of it all, just changing like the colors and like just maybe like some patterns in there and stuff for a new game, I think it makes a world of difference as far as just feeling fresh and like getting that initial excitement, like right when you load up the game for the first time and you're like, oh man, like it looks so new, and like I know I'm playing something new today. It's true. There's like really something psychological there. I don't know. I'm sure there's a name for it, like 100%. I'm sure there's a name for it out there somewhere. But yeah, it's real. And it's probably not something that you really ever think about, but it is. It's real. And probably, like, I don't know if they really think about that kind of stuff. It's actually pretty interesting. Like, I have no idea if when they're doing game development, if they're like, if that's something that they internally talk about, is what are people gonna think right when they load up the first game, like the game for the first time? What's that first impression gonna be like? Is it gonna be like, this game looks exactly like NHL 20? Or is it gonna be, man, this is cool, like this is new? Or are they like so kind of focused on like the new features of the game that they're not really thinking about that kind of thing? They're thinking about, people are gonna be excited about this stuff because this and this is new, rather than like just the look of the game.